I share in this video how to cut and sew this beautiful top with interesting sewing techniques that will be giving you a ready to wear vibe. I'll be sharing with you interesting sewing hack on how to fix a back zipper without a back line like a ready to wear top. I'll also be sharing with you how to cut and sew a turtleneck line neatly and how to pipe a neckline very neat to be giving the ready to wear vibes. I'll also be sharing with you how to cut and sew this beautiful sleeve. Greetings everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. For this particular dress, you need your pattern to be on fold, and you are going to be using your half length as the length of the crop top, but you can make it longer if you want the top to be longer. Then I'm going to be marking out my shoulder measurement starting from the close part of my pattern. So I'll go ahead to measure my shoulder measurement divided by 2. I'll mark it out. And I'll be using my divided shoulder measurement to mark my armhole depth. I'll just connect it like this and I'm going to leave it like so for now. For the neck width, since we are making a turtleneck, I will be marking 2.5 inches wide. But if you are on the big side, you can mark 3 inches wide. And for the neck depth, this is the back piece. So I'm going to be marking out ½ inch for the neck depth of the back piece. And I'll go ahead to connect these mark points together. I'll go ahead to slant the shoulder by 1 inch, connecting it with a slanted line. To connect my armhole curve correctly, I'll just measure my bust measurement divided by 4. I will not be adding a sewing allowance to this here. And I'll go ahead to make my armhole curve. There's a video on the channel on how to create an armhole curve already. Just go ahead to do this quickly. This pattern is already my half length, which is the full length of the blouse. So I'll go ahead to insert my waist measurement divided by 4 on this point, and I'll go ahead to connect it to the bust measurement on the armhole. So remember, this is the back neck depth. We are going to be marking out the front neck depth before we go ahead to cut it out. From the very tip of your pattern, you'll be measuring a neck depth of 2.5 inches. But if you're on the big side and you use a 3-inch width for the neck width, you should mark a 3-inch depth for the neck depth. So I'll mark this out for the front neck depth. So this is for the back and this is for the front. So I'm going to be using this same pattern to cut out the front and the back. So I'll just go ahead to cut out this pattern. For the neckline, you'll be cutting out the back neck depth first. Since it's a body hug top, you should use a stretchy fabric and the stretchy part should be the width of the fabric. I'll go ahead to place my fabric on fold, place the back pattern on the close part of the fabric, pin it down, and I'm going to be cutting out exactly. So I'll just go ahead to add a little bit at the hem that I'll be using to fold it up. That's the only place I'll add sewing allowance. And I'll go ahead to cut exactly the same thing on the other side. This is it for the back. Now for the front part, remember I said we are working with this neck width for the front, so I'm going to take out this neck width. Because this is the front part, you need to tighten the front armhole more than the back armhole. So I'll go to the midpoint of the armhole and I'm going to come in by a 0.25 inch and I'm going to be tightening the front armhole by reconnecting the curve and cutting it out like this. I've just gone ahead to tighten the front armhole so that the front armhole can be more tightened than the back. So the next thing to do is to get the midpoint of your shoulder. Midpoint is the half of whatever you have here. You have at this point. Mine gives me 2.5. Place your tape on the highest point of your shoulder and you are going to mark a neck depth of 6.5 inches. Using a dotted line, you are going to connect your neck depth to the armhole on the both sides of the pattern. I just marked it out on the other part of the pattern like this. So now this midpoint of your shoulder that you mark like this, you're going to get your rule and you just place it on your neck like this. Okay, to be more specific, I started at the 25 mark and I'll just connect this like this into my neck depth. And if you do not have a French curve, you can go ahead to measure from your front center 2 inches and you connect it with your hand to get a curve like this. Connect from the midpoint of your shoulder to the 2 inches mark from the front center. So I'll just open the pattern up like this and I'm going to take the partial curve and I'm going to be connecting from this point like so. Make sure you blend it at this point very well. Okay, so this will be for the neck, the down neck styling. If you do not have a rule, you can just come down from your straight neck depth by ½ inch and you connect like so. On this mark line on the shoulder, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches. I'll go to the neckline on the armhole part and I'll also come in by 1.5 inches and I'll mark it out. And I'm going to connect from this point to this point with a partial curve. So I'll just place my rule like this from the top and I'll draw a line like so. So this is the style line for the upper yoke part. This would be for the net part and this would be for the main fabric. Now, to avoid any gapping on the keyhole neckline, you will need to tighten the keyhole area with a 0.5 inch. So you are going to be creating a dart of 0.5 inch like this. Your dart intake should be 0.5 inch. So you should connect this like this. I'll also do the same thing to the top part. This is to avoid any gapping at all. So we are going to close this dart on the pattern. To close up a dart, all you have to do is to pinch up one dart leg from the start of the dart to the other end, and you're going to place it on the other dart leg like this. Just make sure you blend the dart so that it blends very well to the down part and the pattern is relaxed. So when you do this tightening, you notice that the style line is not aligning. Then you are going to pin up the dart to keep it down like this, and you are going to take your curve and you are going to blend the line to make sure it meets like this. Okay, so this is no more aligned. I'll be working with this line here. So to be able to do the yoke, I would have to cut out this part first so that I can have the yoke part relaxed. So I'll just go ahead to take this out, following my new line. Okay, so this is it. So now I will go ahead to close the dart. It should not get to your shoulder, please, so it doesn't affect your shoulder measurement. So I'll just pinch this up, close this before it gets to the shoulder. Your dart should have been exhausted so that it does not affect the shoulder measurement. Now this is just a neckline tightening. It does not affect your measurement whatsoever. So this line still aligns, and I'll cut out the line. So this is the front pattern. We go straight to the sewing techniques. Place the front pattern open on my fabric. I'll only be adding my hemming allowance. To the sides, I'll not be adding. Then to the neckline, I'll add half of an inch that I'll be using to turn up the neckline. Next, I'll go ahead to measure the neck area like this. What I have here is 16. I'll be using this to cut out the bias I'll be using to turn out the neckline. We are going to get a fabric, place it on bias fold like this. Please, you should not cut out the tape you'll be using to turn up the neckline straight. So after I place this on bias fold, I'll go ahead to cut it out. So I'll measure the length to check if it's up to the neck circumference I measured, and yes, it is more than 16. So I'll go ahead to measure a height of 1 inch. I'll mark this all through and I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to be using this to pipe the neckline. This is the net I'll be using for one sleeve, since one sleeve is net and the other sleeve is fabric. For the sleeve length, you are going to measure from the shoulder to the top of your sleeve like this. So I'll go ahead to measure my sleeve length and I'm going to be cutting out a basic sleeve on the net. For the basic sleeve, I'm going to come down from the top by 4 inches. I'll connect this to the top with a slanted line. I'm going to just blend this with a curve like this. So I'll go ahead to measure my armhole circumference. I'll add my other measurement and I'm going to cut this out and cut the same thing on the second sleeve. I'll be cutting the yoke part on net, but I'm going to be cutting 2 pieces of it. So I'll be using one to turn up the other. I'll place the yoke on it, I'll pin it up, and I'm going to cut it out. I added a 0.5 seam allowance to the down and to the neckline only. I will unpin my front pattern. Remember, I cut this out in two, so I'm going to be using one to turn up the other. I'm going to sew in the down part, taking in my 0.5 inch allowance. Here I'm done sewing. I'll turn this to the right side using a warm iron. I'm going to iron this down. This is the dress. The fabric has two sides. This is the wrong part and this is the right side of the fabric. We'll take this cutout I cut. It's actually long enough to go all around and we are going to be piping the neck. Now to pipe this neckline, I'm going to start sewing from the wrong side. This is the right side of the piping. The right side of your piping material should be facing the wrong side of your fabric. So I'm going to place it like this and I'm going to sew all around. Now because I cut this in a bias cut, it can easily go all around this without squeezing up. So I have gone ahead to sew this. I'll just trim. You're going to flip this to the right side. So you're going to make a fold. The first fold should be in half of whatever you are using for the piping. Then the second fold should take in the other part left, like so. So I'm going to go ahead to sew this following the neckline at the very tip all around. So I've started sewing. I just decided to show you the sewing process so that it will be easy. You're going to be folding this gradually and not all at once. And when you sew, you stop, lift your footer, you arrange the next point before you sew again. And do not try arranging everything once, you just arrange gradually. Here, this is what it's looking like when I'm done piping. I'm going to take the yoke at 0.5 here and 0.5 here as well. So I'll just take this inward like this, making short at the shoulder is the same thing, and this would also be sitting here. So I'll be top stitching the yoke in it, following this already sewn line that I used in piping the neck, and that's the same thing I'm going to do here. I'll follow the already sewn line and I'm going to top stitch the yoke in it. This is the top stitching inside. I followed the same line that I have stitched before and stitched it inside. That's the same thing I did on the down part. I just sewed in 1.5 inches inward, and this is it for the front part. Okay, we are going to be fixing the back zipper to aid the head pass easily. So on the back center, you are going to iron ST or any interfacing on the back. The length should be as long as the zipper should be. So I ironed the interfacing on the back center, and I also got the center line of the back part. So next, I'm going to be fixing the zipper, and the zipper is going to be staying 1 inch upward like this, so it can accommodate the turtleneck when I fix it. So I'm going to measure the 1 inches of the turtleneck on the zip so that I can reserve that part for the collar. So next, I'm just going to mark it out on the zipper like this. I also go ahead to mark out where I will be joining to the turtleneck collar so that my zipper will be starting immediately from that part. So next, I'll measure the total length of the zip after my 1 inch mark, and I'm going to be marking it out on this back part, but it should be half of an inch shorter. So here I just marked it out on the fabric like this. I'll go ahead to place the fabric on fold, and I'm going to open up the zip. Please, you should stop ½ inch away from where your total zip length is. So next, I'm going to place the zip like this, making sure it is starting from that 1 inch line, and it's also starting from that allowance I left to join the collar to the up. So I've gone ahead to sew this, and I sewed according to how I said. I left an inch that I'll be using to sew the turtle to the back neckline. You can see I left this part unsewn. So I went ahead to sew this all the way down, and as you can see, my zipper is like sewn all the way down, but I have some inches left from where the stitch stop. So next, I'm going to take my zip and I'm going to follow this line I marked with a blue pen, and I gave it a clip to the side like this. I'll be doing the same clip on the second side to make a downward V like this. The clip should be the same size as the first one you made. So next, I'm going to be showing you how you can stitch this. Now this clip is to make it easy for you, so make sure the clip is looking like this. Okay, so I will just go ahead to flip this, and I'll place it on my sewing machine, starting from where I stop, the stitch where I stop on the other zip. I will just flip the dress like this. The clip there will be making it easy. So you just have to do what I'm doing now. At this point, you should not have a zipper at that point, so your machine can easily clamp on it. But if you have a zipper, you just sew this carefully. So when you sew it straight like this, you get to the point of the end of the zipper teeth. I hope you understand, Sha. But just watch what I'm doing. You lift your machine footer and you flip the zip over like this, and you arrange your fabric. Now you want to ensure you don't have any squeeze part underneath, so you're going to take your time and arrange it down very well. Then you flip it to the side. Now those notches or those clip that we did earlier will make it very easy for you to flip it. So I'll go ahead to sew and stop at the 1 inch mark like this. So I've gone ahead to fix the zip. You can see what it looks like at the down part, and you can also see that at the up part I have some inches left that I'll be using to attach the turtleneck to the back part. So when you are doing this, just do this carefully. But if you find this method hard, you can go ahead to open up the down part and connect the zip down. But you should try it out. With time, you're going to become better with it. Okay, just try it out on a raw fabric first. When I had to join the shoulders, and I have shaped it by 1 inch, though I did not add any sewing allowance, I still shaped it by 1 inch. This will not affect anything because my fabric is a stretchy one. For the down part, I'm going to be using my hemming gum to hem it down so that it will be very neat. Make sure you use 2 strips of hemming gum so that it will not wash off. For the turtleneck, I'll just go ahead to measure all around the neck. So I'll start from this point here because my turtle is expected to go around to the zipper. So I'll start from here like this all the way to the back part, and I have 16, and my neck width is actually 15, so it is okay. So had it been it's not up to my neck width, I would have gone ahead to increase this part like this so that it will be up to my neck width. So this is my drafting paper. We are going to be cutting a turtleneck. I'll draw a startup line and I'm going to measure the total neck circumference divided by 2 and I'm going to mark this out. Next, I will indicate the front and the back part. I'll take the fabric, measure from the back neck width to the shoulder point, and what I have is 3.25. I'll measure from the back side and I will indicate this point. I'm just going to demarcate it like this. I'll go up on the front by half of an inch, use my curve and connect it to the back. You can use your free hand. I'll go up from that point by 1 inch. Now on that point, I will come in by half of an inch and I will connect this with a slanted line down. Now remeasure my 1 inch on that slant, mark it out, and following the curve, I'll mark 1 inch all the way to the back and I'll connect this dotted line with my curve like this. So next, you are going to go to the center and tighten it by half of an inch by taking 0.25 on the both corner, connect it to the down like this, and you are going to close this dart by pinching up one leg and making sure it meets with the other leg, and you pin this up. So next, I'm going to go ahead to blend this top part so it's not pointed, and I'm going to go ahead to cut this out, and I will be adding my sewing allowance when I'm transferring this to the fabric. Remember, this is the front, this is the back. I iron ST on the fabric. I'll be cutting this out. Place it on fold. I'll place the front part on the closed part. Make sure it is slanted like this and it is not cut out straight. The front part should be on the closed part. So I'll go ahead to pin this up all the way to the tip, and I'm going to cut this out, adding my sewing allowance of 0.5 inches all around. I'm going to unpin this. I have another fabric that I've ironed ST to. I'm going to take the fabric. I'll place the right side facing right side. It should be curved like this and not sewn straight. So I'll go ahead to sew only the top part. Now trim out the sewing allowance. Next, I'm going to go ahead to iron this down. And after ironing, I'm going to cut this out, making sure that the new cutout is 0.25 inch longer than the first cutout. And I'm going to notch the center of this cutout. I'll take the fabric and I'll also notch the center of the neckline as well. I'm going to be sewing on the back part. The shorter part you'll be sewing on the back side. So I'll pin this to the center like this. I'm going to sew this all the way to the end of the back neckline. So yeah, I've gone ahead to sew this. I'll trim out my sewing allowance like this. So I'm going to flip this to the right side. The first place we joined is the wrong side of the dress, or the back side of the dress. So you're going to flip this like this and you are going to fold this in. As we are using the longer part, it will be very easy for you to cover up the first stitch. So I'll fold this in. I'm going to be top stitching at the very tip, very tiny stitch. Okay, so I've gone ahead to top stitch this, covering up the first stitch on the right side. So I'll go ahead to complete the zipper to the up part to finish up the neck like this. So I've gone ahead to complete the zipper. So I've gone ahead to fix the two sleeves. Now for the sleeve, you are just going to shape your sleeve the normal way, and you know the sleeve is already longer than your sleeve. Like I said, you should measure from the top of your hand to this very point of your hand. So I sewed from the down to this point 1.5 inches up, then I left 1.5 inches open like this, and I continue sewing from here following my shaping. So that's how you fix it, and you go ahead to join the sleeve at the shoulder point. Now this is all about the dress. So fixing my hands in this is what it looked like. You'd have to tack this part in on the both sleeves so that it will come out neatly when you fix your sleeve. Please, if you have watched to this extent, please give me a comment, as it gives my small channel visibility. Thank you so much.